Welcome to Eye Level to High Level, where real talk meets real results. I'm Jimmy Rios, and each week we break down the mindset, money moves, and strategies you need to elevate your life and business. Let's level up. Welcome to the Eye Level to High Level podcast. I am Jimmy Rios, your host. Happy to have you today. I have an exciting friend, partner, advisor, expert on the show with us today. His name is Jeremy Stepp. I'm excited because today's our goal is to help people. It always has been. And our theme today is going to be called From Hustle to Synergy, Building Wealth with Intention. And he started with a vision to simplify wealth and insurance planning. Today, he's guiding families and business owners toward real synergy. I wanted to have Jeremy introduce himself, give us a little bio, and let's get started. How you doing, Jeremy?
Hey, Jimmy. Thank you. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me here.
It's good to have you.
I still look as handsome on the screen as I do in real life, I guess.
Well, we haven't done the editing yet, so we'll work on that.
Um, I've been involved in businesses pretty much all my life. My dad started a business when I was 10, kicked me out of bed, said, "If you're not in school, you're with me." And so I sort of learned that from the inside out. And then when he retired, I took over from him. And that business, unfortunately, closed in 2008 when the rest of the economy exploded, like a lot of people. But I started to get involved in the insurance and wealth protection and planning side of asset protection for many different reasons, and a lot of it was just very, very personal on what I was seeing and experiencing in my own family, and what I was experiencing and seeing with friends and other people. That unfortunately, even when it comes to things as simple as car insurance or homeowners insurance, there are a lot of good people out there, a lot of good agents that are out there really trying to help people, but there are also a lot of people out there that are just trying to help their pocketbook.
Yeah.
And I reached a point in my life where I was like, you know what? If I want something to change in my life, I need to change.
Right.
And I'm an advocate type personality, and so started down this road.
You would say that you wanted to be the walking, talking billboard to everything that you're doing, and that's always been kind of my mindset. It's like I take a lot of pride in being able to help people, but if I can't help myself, then what am I doing? It's the whole imposter syndrome. You want to be able to help yourself, and from my experiences, help others. And I feel what brought me to you and really felt a synergy. Excuse the puns, that's the name of your company, but
Yeah.
I felt there was commonality. All right, there's a lot of insurance agents out there. I myself am a licensed insurance agent and work with a lot of products and services, but I always felt that we needed to have an expert or advisor on our group that we could feel comfortable going to or taking our clients through. And when we started talking, I built the Rios Business Advisors firm on the premise that I wouldn't be doing everything. I wanted to help people in the best way. Not because I didn't have the knowledge and I couldn't help them. It's just that for efficiencies, I thought, what better way than to bring an expert into the fold that I could pass the ball to and say, hey, listen, this is the story behind my client and how I want to help them. Can you help them? And ironically, we've been working together for a little bit, but my wife just got off the phone with you before I came on the show. And I told her, I said, look, Jeremy's one of our experts. We're talking about insurance. Let's give him an opportunity to see if he can help us, right? We won't know until he can look at the numbers and see what he can put together. That's it, right? And how good did it feel for us, anyways, to be able to see apples to apples, what we have, what better policy coverage we can get, and then to build on the relationship. I think that's a beautiful thing. And so I'm very happy and glad that, you've been able to help us. But I wanted to dive a little bit into what were some of your early wins and challenges in building your firm?
Well, anybody that's done anything of significance knows that early wins are necessary to keep that gas in the tank.
Sure.
But the challenges are every day, and a lot of early wins for me that really kept pushing me forward, or even small little policies, even liability auto policies. They're not a large premium, maybe $50 or $60 a month, maybe enough to go, pays you a commission enough to go to the convenience store and get a Diet Pepsi or something like that.
Right.
But to have clients tell me, no one's ever told me this, right?
Yeah.
One of the things I talk to my clients about is, do you know that if you replace your windshield, that is considered a claim?
Right.
And that if you use your roadside assistance, that's considered a claim. And it goes into this national reporting database for insurance information. And that if you have too many windshield replacements, I was talking to a guy recently that he'd had, here in Arizona, he loves to go and go jeeping, on the trails. And he went through 3 windshields in 3 years, and his insurance company canceled him.
Right.
And the challenge with that is then to try and place him with another top tier insurance company like he was with was almost next to impossible because of their particular policies that, if you've had 2 in a year, we're not interested, you're too risky. So I mean, those are, getting the feedback from customers on one thing, and also then having to actually tell customers, well, I'm an independent broker. There are a lot of agents out there that are what's called captive, so they work for companies like State Farm, Farmers, Allstate, and that's fine, but they're limited to the products and services that their company sells. Whereas an independent broker, I work for you, the customer, and then I have access to, at this point, hundreds
Right.
hundreds of different companies depending on what I'm looking at, whether it's auto, home, business, life, annuities. My philosophy is, yes, we can insure that,
Yeah.
and that's one reason.
I like that. I know that's the same type of philosophy that I have, because when we built the advisory firm, it wasn't just I'm going to sell you a product, right? Anybody can sell a product. I looked at it things as you're coming to me with a bigger picture of what's going on in your life, right? When we met, we started working on different areas in helping you, right? And I felt that, insurance it's such a necessary thing, but people look at it as like nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I need to go buy life insurance, right? It's not excessive.
Right.
It's not a sexy product. It's not exciting, right? It's something that you need by law, right? To drive your car, you need it for your house if it burns down. So how do we present solutions to an individual when they have so many other things that they're thinking about? And that's when we started making connections, because I said, look, we need to talk about this in a different way. We have to help the community in not just dollar for dollar, but education. Education has always been a big thing for me. Right? I honestly feel that if we did a better part as experts to educate our clients, they could make better choices. Sometimes it's not about getting cheap and saving a buck here, because if I save a buck over here, but I get in an accident, and it's a big accident, I have to go to the hospital, and you hurt somebody, I mean, those expenses can add up quickly. And transferring risk is what insurance is, right? And my fiduciary and helping people is to put them in a better plane, right? So that they can do the best with everything, not just saving a dollar here. Because I can save them money in another area of their life and put that money into a better policy so they can be better protected. That's smarter, right? But nobody talks to them in that fashion. Even agents, as I was coming up over 20 years in the business, I saw many agents, myself included, just take it as a transactional thing, not as a relational, right? And how do we help people for the long haul on a bigger scope? What I love about it is that when we talk, you're thinking in the same way. And that's because you're thinking about your family. We have a lot of commonalities. Went to the same high school. We work in a lot of the same similar parallels. And when we started working as you being one of my clients and vice versa, that's when we got the parallels to cross, right? And I want these things to happen to everybody, because if it's happening to me, if it's happening to you, why can't we do it for everybody else, right? So one of the things I was wondering was the name of your company. You said synergy. What does that word mean to you in the financial context?
So if you actually look at my logo, on the logo at the bottom is, because it's a tree, the logo's a tree, and it's all the leaves are handprints in different colors, and within the leaves at the bottom it says better together, because I learned some hard lessons in life, as we all have. I've bought a lot of tuition to the school of life, and I've learned that there are just some mountains that are really, unless you're just an uber billionaire, they're very difficult to surmount. The challenges are very difficult to overcome just by yourselves.
Right.
And I think that where synergy came from is the idea that there's been a shift in our society and our consciousness from you versus me to there's more than enough to go around. How can we collaborate and help each other?
I like that. It makes a lot of sense. I'm always asked, like, what makes you different from everybody else, right? And I have to ask you the same thing, because I mean, in the world of insurance, right, it's so easy for people to just categorize everybody as just, you're all the same, right? You're all the same agents, you all do the same thing. But what separates Jeremy from the pack?
Um, from my heart, it's, of course I would be lying to say I don't want to earn a commission.
Sure.
I'm not doing this for free.
Right.
But that is not my primary objective. So the philosophy that I have is that, number one, educate.
Good.
Number two, build relationships, long-term relationships. Number three, protect assets.
Very good.
And then number four, invest the difference.
Right. Definitely.
So if I provide you education and you decide to use that education to benefit yourself with someone else, great. I've done a big portion of my job, because now you have more information to go as an informed consumer to
Right.
anyone. Um, part of my part of the education that I offer is if you have a current policy, even if you're happy with your insurance agent, I'm more than willing to review your policy free, no obligation, and just look at it and say, maybe you might want to consider this, or have you thought about this, or has your agent mentioned this?
Right. Such an
Because
important thing.
it is, because otherwise, how do we know? How do we know that our doctor, who just may have diagnosed us with some extreme illness, is telling us the right thing if we don't get a second opinion?
And that's the
And
thing
that's
is,
really,
we're as well intentioned as we are as agents. Life will get in the way for us sometimes, and we lose track of how many clients we have, how we're servicing them. How can we be better servants to them and help them? And I think that by you doing that, unselfishly opening up and saying, look, I just want to give you kind of another frame for thought in seeing what you have. And, maybe there's holes in your system right now that you just didn't know about. And maybe your agent doesn't know. It's just because you have an insurance agent, not everybody has the same level of knowledge. I remember when I started in the business, I was very deficient in many areas. It took me a long time, trial and error, classes, continuing education to be able to level up. So it takes time. Having somebody with the experience, knowledge, and the ability to advise is very important. And it's not always about the dollars. I mean, yes, we do live off of commission and blah, blah, blah. But I think we've transcended that. I think people realize that a lot of I do social media and I market in different areas, but I really get a lot of my business from referrals, right? And that's because what a referral is somebody valuing you for who you are and what you do for them, right? And that's the biggest compliment. I think with what you do in balancing wealth, protection, and planning as a unified strategy is beautiful, right? Now, financial education, how important is that in that equation?
so for the first time in history, the average person has the ability to have access to the same advice, the same products, the same services that the top 1% wealthiest Americans, wealthiest people in the world have access to without having to meet certain uh, bars of entrance. Right? You have to have this much money in an account with us before we'll talk to you. You have to, for example, um, one of the things that my wife and I offer, we offer a financial needs analysis. I know Rios Business Advisors does that as
Yeah,
well.
right,
And that, depending on um, what Main Street type institution you go to, Charles Schwab, Merrill Lynch,
right,
whatever, that particular financial needs analysis, which we do for free as part of our education, can cost a person upwards to $10,000 or $20,000.
right.
Well, how powerful is it if you just went and sat down for the financial needs analysis? Again, it's free. There's no obligation. Truly, you know, I'm calling a spade, right?
Yeah,
This is what it is. And even if we didn't sit down and do business, you took that information someplace else. Um, you you could significantly impact how you plan for your future and change your family's last name,
right.
not literally, but in a financial sense.
Sure.
So you're creating generational wealth because there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy.
Right.
I know at different times in our lives, Jimmy, you and I have both been rich.
Yeah.
At least I can speak for myself that I've been not so rich. And the change is to do things in a way that follows the steps of the wealthy,
Right.
to
Mindset.
create that generational wealth,
Yeah.
to impact society, to leave this place better than what I found it.
Right. And we had a meeting, you and I, at a McDonald's, right? We sat down,
Yep.
we started talking. Sometimes those one-on-ones are the best, between two professionals on parallels, and we had a commonality with regards to building a financial plan for ourselves, right? And talking about you and I each looking at different things. And one of the things that I was talking about was in our program, the eye level to high level, we talked about the advantages of building the ability to come and bring money to the table to buy your life insurance for the whole year, right? So the insurance is paid upfront. With car insurance and home insurance and life, there's different parameters to it. But tell us a little bit about how the important, or why is it so important if you can pay your insurance in that manner? What can that do for you in the big picture of things?
Well, I mean, it can, first of all, it can save you money. I don't know about you, Jimmy. I like to save money. Whether
Right?
I've been rich or poor, I've always loved to save me some
Sure.
money, you know. Um, it also, as long as, like, for example, car insurance, um, most companies that I interact with, they sell 6 month policies. They don't say sell 12 month policies. There are some companies that do sell 12 month policies, but if you can pay your 6 month policy in advance, one, besides it's going to save you probably 50, 75, 100 or more dollars in that time period, which then you can use to actually put that money to work for you so that
Right.
interest is compounding in your favor
Right.
and not
Right.
in the favor of the bank or the credit cards or whatever.
Exactly.
Um, it also, because the way insurance is set up, even though insurance companies in general don't use credit based scoring exclusively anymore, like they also don't use zip code scoring exclusively anymore. Your motor vehicle record, your claims record, your credit, and then where you live or where you garage your vehicles. Those all are pieces of a puzzle that go
Right.
together. So, as you were saying before, insurance is ultimately transfer of risk,
Right.
and the insurance company wants to know, hey, are you a good risk?
Right.
And so, a good example would be like I've had customers that literally they've had hard times. We've all had hard times, and they've had cars, but they haven't been able to afford to insure them because the car was broken down, right? So
Right.
they've been doing whatever, and but then when they go to get insurance now because their car is working, their insurance is through the roof because they have lost that history of insurance. And one thing I advise customers is to say, hey, you know what? Go, if you're in that type of situation, if you can afford it, at least keep a non-owner policy where you're not saying you own a car, but in case you're driving a family member's car, friend's car, what, even if you're not driving a car, that way at least you still maintain insurance history
Right.
so that when you go back, it's going to help save you money um, by paying your insurance premium upfront in full and then maintaining a clean driving record, um, not getting in any accidents that are your fault,
Yeah.
working with Jimmy on your credit,
Right.
um, working to get into a better area with less crime.
Right.
Um, you now become more and more likable by
Yes.
many, if not most, insurance companies because they're like, "Oh, Jeremy, you know what? You're really a good risk." And so, because of that, And on top of that, you're willing to pay your entire premium up front. And
Yeah.
that's going to impact it's going to impact the premiums you receive.
And that's
And,
one of the biggest objections I get is, well, of course, if I had the money, then I would. And I said, well, what if we could put together a plan to open up those pathways? Because most people don't see what comes out every month, and the money's there. It's that drip effect, right? The latte factor. Where every day, it a little bit drips out at the Circle K's, at the Starbucks, and I remember years ago I did this because I talk about everything I do. I did it myself, right? So I put myself on a very strict budget, and I had my insurance re-rated, and I used the money that I saved in putting these approaches together, and I opened up 4 insurance policies for my kids, right? And these had cash value. They over 3 years they were accumulating. All I did was take the savings that I had gotten from the re-rate, and I put that money in there. I didn't feel the pain because all I did was just move the money. Right? It was going to get spent anyways. Now, fast forward, and last year we started a platform for us under our trust, under the eye level to high level program, and that money, I think we took 14,000 out of the insurance policies, the cash value, and we were able to use that to be able to increase the profits that were made over the course of the year. Now, 14,000 is not a lot of money, but 140,000 is, right? And if I take out a low interest loan for, I think I had it through Mutual of Omaha, and they only charged me like 4.25%. Not going to find 4.25% anymore. Not in the traditional sense, not in mortgages, not in consumer lending, but in life insurance, you can, right? So I took that, and that grew in my platform to over 140,000. I can pay back the insurance policy, and now I have for the 4 kids, I have money that's even more, right? So, or for whatever I want to do with it. Really, at this point, it's under the trust, right? So it's governed and managed by me as a trustee holder, right? But if I talk about setting reserves, helping yourself financially, getting off that hamster wheel, right? And you can do this with some discipline. I wanted to ask you a question with regards to entrepreneurs, because obviously that's a big area that I help in. And what would you say are the top 3 mistakes business owners make with insurance and planning?
um, well, there's similar mistakes that I've made. You
We've all
know,
made them.
um, one going into a business or a venture without and committing yourself to that without doing the research of
Yep.
what it's going to take to make sure that you're protected
Right.
and you're properly protected.
Right.
Um, that's one big one. Um, Two, if you're expanding out your business. Um, so if you're doing the same thing, but you're just now scaling it more,
Mm-hmm.
and now maybe you have employees, or you're considering that, but you started hiring people, but you didn't take it into account that, oh, I need workman's comp insurance, and how much does that cost?
Right.
Um, and then 3, if you're branching out into something totally different sector, just because you have insurance for your business A doesn't mean, and your LLC and everything like that, doesn't mean that that's going to be covered for business B. So a good example, I have a client who owns 2 tattoo shops here in the Phoenix area and a coffee shop. Well, you can pretty well guarantee that the coffee shop insurance policy is totally different than the one
Right.
that we wrote and bound for his tattoo shops.
Right.
And then now he and his business partner are getting ready to start an artificial turf company.
Wow.
So you can pretty well guarantee that the insurance policy for that is going to be different than the other two.
Right.
Um, and it's so important because those type of decisions, without getting proper advice from someone like yourself, Jimmy, um, about what to do before you do it,
Right.
can mean the difference between success or failure, can mean the
Totally.
difference between reward or hardship, can actually mean the difference between keeping your business afloat or bankruptcy, and even sometimes personal bankruptcy if you haven't done it right.
Yeah.
You know,
True.
these are big stake gains.
Yeah.
You know, it's not 1950 anymore, boys and girls. You know,
So
it's a
listen,
very
we're
litigious
gonna.
society.
This is what we're gonna do, Jeremy, because I love what you're talking about. And 30 minutes just doesn't give us enough time. So we're gonna come back next time. We're gonna dive into leadership, legacy, and how Jeremy sees the future of wealth planning. So stay tuned, everybody. We're gonna come back and continue on this fun journey. Thanks for tuning in to Eye Level to High Level. If you're ready to rise above the average, subscribe, share, and follow us for more ways to take your grind to greatness. Until next time, keep pushing higher.